Hey, it's been a minute and I'm glad we're back. Like, we have so many things lined up for you today. And of course, this is the Techpoint Africa Podcast, and I hope you guys, our listeners, have been keeping safe, well, and dry. And of course, our thoughts and our love are with everyone affected by the flood. And of course, those who have been earmarked to have imminent flooding. People like me, people like Nifemi, and a lot of other people. But yeah, our thoughts and prayers are with you, and I hope you guys are keeping safe. And yeah, just try to stay as safe as possible, because I mean, with COVID, we could tell you to wear masks and keep social distances, but with the flood, I guess telling you to learn how to swim might be insensitive. Yeah. Because something can hit your head even, and you can't swim against the tide.
Waterborne diseases.
Yeah, waterborne diseases. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and of course, Emmanuel once again, and I'm here with me on the studio.
Oluwanifemi
and Bolu.
And yeah, behind the scenes we have our two awesome and lovely ladies. Yeah, can your studio ever have that? Two ladies manning the Techpoint Africa. Like, please shout out to Onome and Gracious behind the scenes. Of course, Chingozin is lurking somewhere behind, and
he acknowledged you too.
He doesn't acknowledge that I'm acknowledging him, but it's fine. So there were lots of conversations and stories over this week, and we had a story that has caused a lot of backlash and controversies. I mean, Nifemi, you made me spend time on Twitter yesterday banting with people. I don't like engaging Twitter people because I just feel like everybody just wants to feel smart. But to a large extent, a lot of the people who wanted to use data to fact check didn't fact check anything. But okay, before I even get to the heat of it, we wrote a story, and it told us that way less than 0.1% of Nigerian workers are migrating. So where exactly is the brain drain? To paraphrase, we are saying that Nigeria does not have a brain drain problem. So people wanted to fact check what we did, and there is three very, very important points beyond those who were very, very insulting and direct abusive. Some people actually raised some valid points, and I agree with them. I didn't agree with them on Twitter, but I want to actually come and drag you for them now. Number one, why did you focus on US?
Okay, first and foremost, I want to appreciate you for having my back yesterday on Twitter. Hey, you won't find me to be the confrontational type. I won't answer.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
So it's me that is not confrontation.
So thank you for having my back. And the other thing I would like to raise is we should pay more attention to the content of pieces like this that question what we've believed. Right? When we see things discussed a number of times, right, in a way that's supposed to get us alarmed, and we keep seeing it from reputable people and people that we respect, and it is bound for us to agree with them and believe there's a problem. But when you now see something that questions that belief, what you should do is to pay attention to the content of that piece. I would like to ask that, did you read that piece? Were you riled up by the headline? Right? Did I provoke you in a way that you feel I am questioning your intelligence? I would like to advise that you actually take a look at the piece. It addresses a lot of issues beyond how many people are leaving the nation, what we should do about it, what is causing it, what we should pay attention to instead. Now to your question, right? Aside the fact that we do not always have access to a lot of data, even the UN cannot say they have access to unlimited data, right? Sometimes, especially when you want to talk about immigration, it is what is recorded by that particular country that you can record. Sometimes you might not even be able to distinguish people that were given birth in a particular country and moved out, and from people that were of another country's descent that are living in another country. So you might not be able to separate who the immigrants are exactly. Yeah. But that is by the way. The reason we used I actually used US is because US has been over the years been the most preferable destination for international immigrants.
Oh, okay. But I saw a lot of people saying, oh, UK, oh, EU, oh.
Yeah. I don't know whether we sometimes take ourselves out of our bubbles, right? Maybe many people in our bubbles in our network are moving to Europe, right? But as far as I'm concerned, data don't lie, as they say it. The International Organization of Migration is a UN partner organization, recorded as of 2020 of the 280 million international immigrants, right? 50.6 of them are in the US.
50.6
of them are in the US. Million. No. I mean general of that big number. 50.6 of them from all over the world are in the US.
Okay, so but where are Nigerians going to?
Yes, now Nigeria's stats, according to IOM, right, is showing that it's not like migrating at the moment, but the number of Nigerians that are international immigrants in other countries it's just like 0.8% of our total population. It's like, let's say 1.8 million, right? And this includes people that live as dependents rather, people that live to go and study, people that go for tourism, people are on tourist visas, people that are on work visas that are limited to a number of years, people that are actually relocating, right? It's like, I think the what's it called, our behind the scenes should be they should show us the number of Nigerians that are in these countries, and US tops that list. The country that has the highest number of Nigerians who are international immigrants, and I'm sure this would not cover illegal immigrants.
Okay,
because they are not recognized.
So I think I was seeing the data before we came on the podcast. It shows that the US immigrants, Nigerian immigrants that are in the US, almost doubles those in the UK.
Yes. Europe is just down the list. It's not like after US, right? There's Italy. There's Nigerians are migrating to Niger.
Cameroon.
Yes, and they're in the 100 and something thousand. Wow. Yes. So Cameroon is also on the list, I believe. So it's just a matter of understanding or allowing the data that we have to inform our decision, and not just stick to what we believe or what we want to agree with.
Okay, so now quickly, right? Because I'm already getting the message that we don't have much time again for this story. But another important point which I think we should address, so please permit us to go beyond that minute you just told us. Number one, the people migrating are very, very critical to Nigeria. Number one, the healthcare workers, the doctors and nurses that are migrating in thousands. So does that article actually address that, or what is the outlying scenario in this instance now, since there are a lot of doctors and nurses that are leaving the country?
Okay, so I think we should consider what it means to have a brain drain.
Okay.
Right. Brain drain means like when a significant number of your professionals, right?
So is it fair to say the healthcare sector, for instance, now is having a brain drain, even if we can't say Nigeria generally? General
workers. Maybe we can, but I'm not agreeing to that there's a brain drain, because Nigeria always has a deficit in its medical sector. Professional deficit.
Okay.
Right, of normally what WHO recommends is one doctor. We're not talking about nurses here. We're not talking about medical lab scientists or technologists here. One doctor to 500 patients. But the situation in Nigeria, according to the most recent stats we are privy to, is one doctor to 5,000 patients.
Wow.
Right. We are falling behind already we have always had a deficit, right?
Okay.
We have never met the WHO, not in our history.
Okay.
You get, so we've always had a deficit of doctors. But yes, there's a stats showing that in the past 6 years, right, we've almost lost 10,000 doctors and nurses to the UK, right? Because they have things that are attracting them. Policies from the GMC is attracting them, right? So if you want to, we might not have access to the numbers of doctors and nurses and medical practitioners in Nigeria, but think of, if you want to give a wild estimate to other countries, let's say 50,000 medical practitioners has migrated from Nigeria compared to what we have on ground. I'm not sure, but we can say that the number of medical practitioners that we have is way more than that, right? So we can't say, if you want to consider numbers.
I think according to Statista, we had about 24,000 doctors as of 2019, 2020, according to that data. So let's say if we have 24,000 in just 2019, and say 6,000, 8,000 has left in the last 5-6 years, how many of that are living like that? Let's say 1,000 plus
every
year. So the issue now is, okay, I hear what you are saying, right? In our history, we've always had doctor shortage. I wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, I was going to ask, say this particular bit could be a bit subjective based on the angle we are looking at it from. Yeah, so there's the angle that in the first place we've never even had enough medical practitioners. We have not yet trained enough people. And then you can say, okay, we don't have enough. It's not as a result of brain drain. You can say that. But then the little that we now have are now leaving. So if you look at it from that perspective, you can now say.
So there's a school of thought that says it's better for a country to lose its professionals than lose educated, unemployed population. You get?
What school of thought is that? Because I'm going to ask you in the comment section.
Yes, I can't place, but I've seen conversations on that, discussions on that.
Okay.
Right? It's better for you to lose your professionals. When you lose the educated, unemployed population, it can cause a drain more than losing the professionals. Because there's every chance that you can train the educated ones, upskill them, or take them as interns, bring them in, train them, and make them to get to the point of where those professionals are, the gap they are living.
So what you are saying is, if the educated unemployed leave,
it will cause more harm.
When the professionals in your company leave, there will be nobody to train.
Yes, because when those ones not even leave, when they retire.
When they even retire.
Yes, when they get to the peak of their career and they move on, who do you replace them with?
Because because we have them, it's a case of you don't know how valuable something is until you lose it. So they are there, and then they work till they are 70. So before they are 70, you don't make any plans of.
The summary of this is, just read the article. There are other things you have to focus on, and it's not about whether people are living or not. How do we make things better for us? How do you train the people that you have to make them better, to fill positions you're supposed to fill, which we will discuss in one of our podcast episodes on how companies should respond to talent migration. I almost said virgin. How companies can respond to talent migration, and what it will cost companies to hire new skills or upskill the ones they have. So those are the things we should pay attention to. One love.
All right, calm down. Thank God. yeah, I think that was an interesting one. What I would say is, if in the last few weeks, right, we saw the British Prime Minister, someone from India, and we've been celebrating India. Weirdly, on social media, we've been making a lot of noise about, India, they've taken over the world. If you go on Twitter, you see almost every tech company in the world, major companies in the world, are being led by Indian CEOs. SoftBank Fund, Microsoft, Google,
Twitter.
There are so many, right? A lot of tech CEOs, but why are we celebrating that and not calling that a brain drain? Are you going to say because India has 1 billion population? That's not, no, you can't use that, because when we use that for Nigeria, you say we can't use the entire population. We actually need to find the people who have been earning $10,000 a year and above who are living. So the question now is, the people who live in India, does that not point to brain drain in India too? Then, number 2, for your skilled workers, the fact that your senior engineer left and your engineering team is in shambles, whose fault is that? Is that the fault of the senior engineer? No. He has to do what is best for him. Is that the fault of Nigeria? No. They're still trying to fix roads and give people food. It's not the fault of Nigeria. It's you. You are probably not just prepared to handle the loss of senior engineers, because why? These engineers, they will always leave. They might not leave the country, but they will leave to another company.
Everybody in the world is competing for your talent.
Exactly. Then number 3, even if you leave, even if they leave, if not for talent migration, would we have companies like Main One today? Main One is one of the most important companies Nigeria has brought up. But the CEO worked in the US for some years before she came back to Nigeria, and then she came back with Nigeria and built stuff. So there are lots of conversations around this, and so many more. All right, let's hear a message from the people in our house friends. And
hi, I'm Abisola Adenoga, the head of business at Techpoint Africa. Did you know that you could present yourself as a reputable brand leader? Did you know that your business can get the limelight it deserves? Now you do. Using Techpoint Africa's marketing tools, we can put you in the faces of a large audience for brand awareness and thought leadership. To do this, reach out to us by sending an email to business@techpoint.africa or click on the link in the description below.
hey guys, welcome back to the Techpoint Africa Podcast. So, like I said, so many stories, and we have Ogheneruemu here with us eventually. Yeah, we just had to drag Nifemi into this podcast because
I missed that conversation.
You missed the conversation. What did you want to say? No, don't say anything.
Don't say
Don't say anything. It was a very tactical, because I saw some of your reply yesterday. I was like, guy, calm down now.
No, like
you will say it.
No, don't say anything. Don't say anything. Okay, so this week we heard 54 Jane CEO has stepped down, and 54 Jane has been, I think they laid off.
Yes. So the story is quite, there's a lot to unpack. There are a lot of dots that need to be connected. So on Tuesday, 25th of October, the 54 Jane CEO and founder Ene Abasi Obong, he announced that he was stepping down as the CEO of the company. 54 Jane was founded in 2019. It's an health tech company, and this is coming after the VP of engineering, who is also a co-founder, left just about a month ago. And when things like that happen, it's normal for people, it's logical for people to raise eyebrows. Co-founder left, CEO left, and then when you attempt to, those 54 Jane has not come out to tell us, okay, this is exactly what happened. The CEO has not said this is why I'm leaving. But then sometime in August, they laid off about 30% of their workforce, which, when you think about it, you start thinking, okay, is it related? And then after that, during the time they laid off, there were allegations of financial impropriety against the
English, we don't finish us.
It started with MMO. The finance is impropriety. So you begin to think, right? There's an allegation about 30% of the workforce was laid off, and then CEO is stepping down.
Something sounds fishy.
Something definitely sounds fishy.
CTO left 1 month later. CEO is stepping down, and the next CEO is not the COO. It is the general counsel.
Assisted by the
She will be the interim CEO. Yes, her name is Teresia L. Boats. So, and then when you look at it again, you might say, okay, it's probably because they've also been facing some issues after, especially now that the entire, because I think there was a boom. They had like a business boom during the COVID-19
but it didn't last.
Yes, it didn't last because their lab was able to, one of the companies that really took on the COVID-19 tests. They did a lot of tests actually. Probably the company that did the most in Nigeria. And then now that the entire COVID-19 thing is dying down, it's reduced. So,
okay. So, I don't know what to think about this because the 54 genes proposition is not something you see normally in Africa.
Yeah.
And it sounded very futuristic, and I had a lot of hopes on it, not because of what it can achieve now, or because of its potential. Very, very few countries invest in R&D in Africa.
Yeah.
And for me, I felt 54 genes original proposition, which is genome sequencing and all of that, it's actually something that's supposed to be R&D heavy. So I was expecting more of grants, more of aids for research. I haven't really placed my finger on the business side of things, like the capitalist side of things.
Yeah, it's not only you. It's not only you. And when you think about it, when you think about other companies like biotech companies involved in all this genome sequencing, things like that, they are not companies that you invest in with the aim of making profit early, like regular startups, right? And the funny thing is they actually require even more funding than your average fintech startup. They need a lot of money, and obviously that's probably why we've seen that 54 Gene has raised, I think, over $40 million since 2019 when it was founded. And yeah, you need a lot of money to do these things. You need a lot of money to keep running these things, and profit is not something you have in mind, say, in the next 7 10 years. Probably.
But you reached out to them with some of all these questions we had. Well, the way everything just looks weird.
Exactly.
Did they give you any answer?
Okay, yeah, they gave an answer, but it was not the answer we're looking for. They simply told us that they were not going to answer some of those questions at this time. The questions were, why exactly is he leaving? The questions were, why isn't the COO or another co-founder taking over? Why does it have to be someone else entirely? And they were not, at this time, according to what they said, going to answer those questions for now.
Okay, that's fine. I trust that you're still doing some digging to get to the bottom of that, because it's not just me, not just Techpoint. A lot of people actually were rooting for 54 Gene. In 2020, they won the Startup of the Year Techpoint Awards.
Yes.
So they are really doing something interesting. And
what they are doing is it's quite important. It's important for African gene to start becoming part of
medical and health
research.
research.
So when they create new medicines, new drugs, we know that the African gene was involved in the creation of those things. So we'll keep doing some digging, and I hope all is well.
Okay. All right. So before we move on to other stories, right? I just wanted to point out something. MTN, just a quick mention. MTN was sued by a customer for misleading adverts. What happened was MTN advertised the Samsung Galaxy S22, and if you buy it with your promo, you get a free 25-watt charger. That you won't know the importance of that until you have to get a Samsung Galaxy S series and you don't have a charger. I've walked around Lagos looking for a charger that will not break my pocket, because I just have a certain idea in my head that charger should not cost more than a certain amount. Like, I wanted to buy for my S21 and telling me it costs 10,000 naira. 10,000 naira about, like, how?
How much are your AirPods?
That's not the point. That's not the point.
I don't think 10,000 is too much for a charger.
For a charger, just the head.
Oh, well,
okay, because I had the cord.
It comes with cord.
Yeah, so a free 25-watt charger, and the guy said he only received the phone, but he didn't get the charger. MTN's argument was stocks had already finished lasting by the time he got the phone.
Valid, stock
So
loss.
yeah, offers valid, why stock?
See, I'm thinking
lasts.
about that. Just thinking of all the people I could possibly sue. I swear.
Yeah, so MTN is saying the fact that there was a case like that before, and the court ruled that the person in question, the person that was suing, had needed to have read everything, all the terms and condition. But the advertising regulatory board in South Africa, this happened in South Africa, by the way, is saying that was a contract, but this is an advert in a leaflet, which people typically don't try to read religiously.
Thoroughly.
So in that your message that you are putting, it should be very, very clear and obvious, and a lot of Nigerian companies are guilty of this. So until you see the ad, you're excited, then when you try to patronize them, they will tell you, oh, it's only for this thing, oh, it's only for this, and they'll bury deep inside their terms and conditions, and it's something that could get a lot of companies sued. I was in argument with a company last weeks when I was getting this board. Same thing. You wanted to add my card, and you tell me, oh, a 15 naira deduction will happen, and I accepted. But when I added my card, I see a 2,000 naira deduction.
I saw the same thing, and I know the company you're talking about.
Come on.
But
I didn't say you should not deduct 2,000 naira, but tell me before you deduct it, so I'll be expecting it. I was.
Fight. Did you fight?
I just a little bit. They're my people. That's why I didn't really disturb them too much. But those are the kind of things, little details that you go and bury in your terms and conditions for stuff like this. Please try and make it obvious. That's just by the way. Then moving on to which one should we do first? CBN or Kloud Commerce? CBN or Kloud Commerce?
Is it that Kloud Commerce?
Kloud Commerce, yes. Yet another case of another CEO being charged with improprieties. So give us a brief rundown, very, very, very brief rundown, because I don't want to dwell too much on that story either.
Okay, so yeah, not to dwell too much on it. So yes, the story, right? The CEO of Kloud Commerce, CEO and co-founder of Kloud Commerce, was a couple of allegations were leveled against him. Chief of them was financial impropriety.
All right.
So I hope I'm pronouncing
What was that thing again?
No, now come on.
I thought you're my guy. Okay.
Right
Yeah.
now,
So there were a couple of other allegations, such as him overworking the engineers, aggression, a lot of things like that. And the whole story came together in an investigative piece by Witraka on the 20th of October, and it showed how he was diverting funds. It's alleged that he was diverting funds that was invested into Kloud Commerce into personal things, and they said he was traveling. He was taking dodgy trips, expensive hotels, car rentals, and a lot of things like that. And yeah, it was a lot. And funny enough, within the I think last week they released they came up with a press release that was refuting the claims, that denied the claims made in that article, and they said it was untrue, that they were unfounded rumors by a safe investor. So one thing to note about that was the press release was unverified. The source was unverified. There was no actual signature by any. It said, the press release said it was from members of the board, right? But there was no signature by anyone in the board to say, okay, this is who, or these are the people that actually, like, no one assented a signature on the press release. And so yeah, but the press release said, one, that he did not, that the CEO, in the name of Olumide Olusoya, DO, as is popularly known, did not divert any funds into his personal pocket.
Okay, I said brief though.
Okay.
You've been giving us the gist, but
Okay.
I think if you want to hear the full story, just go and read the article.
It's important to point out that if you're an investor, you are giving them money, teaching them how to do PR. because that thing was it was a disaster class in PR.
So one thing I've found is most of these tech startups like to relate to the media on their own terms.
Everybody does.
Everybody, yes. So the thing is, that statement, for instance, could have helped the Wheat Tracker article. Not a statement from that wasn't signed with the secretary who probably hasn't updated his LinkedIn in a while.
Or does he even have a LinkedIn?
He does. He hasn't updated it in a while. So then the person in question with these allegations refuses to say anything, right? I know it's easy to say, like I mentioned, I tweeted it during the week. It's easy to say, oh, this was a disaster class in PR. But the question is, does any company know how to handle disasters in Nigeria? I haven't seen.
So far, no.
I haven't seen. Jumia is a little bit good at it. They've been able to manage the whole stock exchange thing.
In this case, my problem is, so first of all, you decided to address a claim that was, for any founder, it's a huge claim if you are accused of financial impropriety. We can let every other thing slide, but a lot of people will not let financial misconduct slide.
Mm-hmm.
But say this were rumors started by one safe investor.
But in the Wheat Tracker article,
there's at least 2 investors, one anonymously, one whose name and firm is there. So if you're going to say it's a rumor started by one person, you need to now tell me why the second investor did not disagree with that rumor, or did they bully the investor into agreeing. So sometimes it's just better not to say anything than to say something and then you have to the company is being diluted right now, but what if you are still in existence and you needed to just do something again and put out some, first of all, I'm going to be very skeptical about any other thing you put out. There was one, you couldn't adequately address all the concerns.
Yeah.
So it's best you don't even talk than address them
sometimes
and leave more questions.
Not talking also makes the whole thing compound and makes
True.
it weird.
But if you're going to speak, make sure you're covering your bases. Don't make it too easy for people to pick holes in your response, because that was too easy. And I'm sure that either they did not run it through, because you found that true, but you may not be a very good communicator. You may not even be good at handling crisis communication. So if they did not run it, and I want to believe they had a PR firm, or at least someone. I
think that's something that probably needs to be addressed. We know how to create buzz and create ball. We don't know how to handle. We can make noise.
No, say today. It's a very funny conversation, but today, you're doing something that you're working in. Look at it. Your ecosystem is raising how much? 5 billion. Sorry, not 5 billion. 1 point something billion. Maybe 1.4, 1.6. It shows the scale of your ecosystem. It's still small. So anything you do will be magnified and blown out of proportion. It's easy for me to say you're doing well when you're the lone big fish in a small pond. But let me drop inside the Atlantic Ocean and then we'll see how good you are. You're giving me signs to stop talking sharp. But please, startups, learn how to tell stories. It's important, not just for the public, but you get an employee because you tell a good story. So
and apart from what Redesign just said, I have my own conspiracy. Apart from what Redesign just said, I feel increasingly this year a lot of companies want to be using the media to further their own agenda. So we have to be very, very careful, and let's just try to be as objective as possible when we're handling issues like this. I'm saying this to my guys here and any other person that could care to listen, right? So let's just leave these CEOs and their financial misconducts.
Financial what?
There's a bigger.
I didn't you tell me misconduct. I was fighting with impropriety.
So I went to pronounce that word you just mentioned, but I said no. Let me not disgrace myself on.
You didn't give me that way out since like 3 times.
No. there are many ways we could actually approach this, right? And I decided to choose the easy way. I didn't think of it that time. Just the way the CBN didn't think of a lot of things last year.
If they cholesterol.
Yes, a Christmas gift from the CBN and some weird moves. Ogheneruemu has updates for us on the CBN.
Yes, I bring you good brethren and sisters.
Tidings of great
I
joy.
bring you greetings from the office of Murphy. He has kept all of us busy and ensured that we are all mini economists in the last 1 week. So let me start with the Christmas gifts, as you guys have titled it. From next year, February 1st. This is my own date too, but because there's a deadline. But from next year, February 1st.
What's the date that the CBN gave, Biko?
Okay, by January 31st, 2023.
That's the deadline.
Yes.
Okay, so from February
all
1st.
current naira notes in circulation will no longer be considered legal tender.
All?
Yes. From 100 naira, 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000
You're careful not to mention 15 naira because you can't buy anything with 15 naira. You
Yeah.
can buy something, gala, but you don't small. What else? Granite.
Gala
is 100 naira.
Gala is 100 naira now.
I bought gala 100 naira yesterday.
Whoa. Okay, so what can you buy with 15 naira, please?
So you could
You can buy
buy
egg. Egg
no,
is
you
18
can
naira.
buy egg. Wait. You can buy biscuit.
Biscuits 15
Yeah.
naira. Is it
Yeah.
fishy or
No, half size of what's the name of that thing again?
so? It's only kids that can spend because I don't eat biscuits.
Yeah.
No,
This is where you give
Oh no, this wafer. This is very popular Milky wafer now. May help us out, please. That biscuit you should buy that here. They are now selling 50. Pure Bliss. Gracious.
Pure Bliss is not 100 naira.
This has been 100 naira.
They have a smaller one.
It's a smaller one now.
Yes.
15 naira. So biscuits.
Economy
okay.
size.
Then 3 pure water for 15 naira. All right. So that's by the way, Sha.
Yeah, so from January 31st, or January 31st is the deadline. So if you currently have your naira notes, if you have held or hoarded naira notes, large quantity, start looking for how to
Who are
take
you
it
talking
out.
to? Is it me?
Hmm?
Is it me?
That's why I was looking at the camera. The person won't identify themselves.
Okay.
Well, hopefully none of you are. But yeah, that's it. New naira notes, new 100, 200, 500, and 1,000 naira will be in circulation.
What does this mean exactly? Why is the CBN doing this at
So,
this time?
According to the CBN, one is it's difficult to find fit notes, like notes that look good. That's one excuse, or one reason that the CBN government
Excuse,
gave.
I hear you.
That it's difficult to find really neat notes. I think if I check, I don't think I will find. Okay, I have a decent 500 naira note and a decent 1,000 naira note. But the 100 naira note I used for transport this morning was nothing to write home about. So he has a case there. Secondly, he said that with
You use those kind of notes for transport.
yeah, true. Mainly for Okada. So they will suffer. And then that woman that doesn't smile when she's selling stuff to you. I reserve it for them. Those people have a special place in my heart. So he also said that the increasing technological advancements mean it's easier to counterfeit notes. So that's a risk, and they are trying to they're also trying to stop that. So the third reason that he gave is that he said something about the dirty notes don't even they are not they don't show or reflect a good image of the CBN. I still don't understand that part, how dirty notes affect the CBN's image. But yeah, finally they also said a lot of people are hoarding naira notes. So those are the three reasons he gave. So from 15th December or December 15th
and
2023, they will start circulating the new notes. So, and that's
there's a redesign.
Yeah, there's a redesign.
So, well, how much would this cost the CBN now?
So, as of 2020, the CBN said it cost about 56 billion naira to print 2.6 billion naira notes.
Come again?
56 billion.
Wait. 56.
Sorry, 58 billion.
58 billion.
Yes, to
print
print
2.5
2.5 billion notes.
So it costs more to print
Of course, it's not as if it's paper now that you just use knife and
okay, I get it. So it will cost more than 1,000 naira to print 1,000 naira note, obviously.
Something like that.
So on average,
so these 2.5 billion naira notes are valued at about 1 trillion naira, or were valued at 1 trillion naira in 2020. So let's assume that this will cost something about this amount, or maybe even more. And this is just printing. I don't know if the cost of the redesign, like I saw someone say today, either way, anybody who is redesigning, and that was the first thought that came to my mind yesterday, like anyone who is redesigning the new notes, person will eat good, person will cash out like mad.
Like, I mean, yesterday we saw the NNPC spending how much on PR? 60 something billion or thereabouts on PR. Just PR.
Who's doing PR for them?
Who is doing?
How far? What are you doing? Side hustle.
You gotta tell your boss that.
Like 69 billion for a year. Abi?
For the year, the annual reports now.
69 billion.
Or more. Is it 69 or 89 itself?
How much do they pay their lawyers to ensure they don't enter into legal trouble? How much do they pay their lawyers?
The whole thing is there. I will share it with you after this podcast. Like, the number of things that so I'm sure with this we all know how much they spent to do the Nigeria Air logo.
I can draw too.
You can draw. Oh, well done.
I don't know why I do not take my finance classes
so
seriously.
Apart from that, there is also one more thing that the CBN is doing.
Yes.
But I think this move could actually force a lot of people to put their money in the bank.
Which is, yes, it will, because now you have 6 weeks to do that.
How do I do that? I have
6 weeks until they start circulating, but you have about 2 months before you run out of.
They're not doing anything to 10 naira, don't worry.
No, yeah. They're not doing anything to 10
naira. I just remember.
So your 10 naira, if you calculate, it's more than 250. The 10 naira you have is more than 250.
I have about almost 4,000 naira worth of 10, 20.
Are you sure?
Yes.
When you go back, check it, because I think I've taken out of it.
Okay, so I think a lot of these conversations we're going to be having, like more high level stuff. You'll be listening to experts at the FinTech Summit 2022. It's holding in November 26, and it will be at 4 Points by Sheraton. So you come to hear a lot of things about the fintech space and how it's affecting and improving and impacting the financial lives of Nigerians. So there are a lot of things that you are going to learn when you come. You're going to meet a lot of top experts in the space, and you get to network. That's like one of the key selling points of any event: the quality of the network and the quality of the products that you're going to be seeing, the kind of product showcase that will actually try to solve your problems. And it's also the hackathon, which will be starting. When is it starting?
It has started. I mean, we've closed entry, so if you should be getting mail soon if you registered, to let you know if you have gone to the next level, or whether you are
our podcast audience expo. They should be the first people to hear when you are sending the email.
Oh yeah, they'll get it between this weekend or over the weekend and Monday, but definitely by Tuesday you get a response. I know some of you are asking, but you get a response.
Yeah, you're going to get your response. So finally, the CBN is also trying to replace. Trying to build their own ATM. So they first of all did their own digital currency. Now they want to do their own ATM, unless that's not the case, because you put it inside one big English digital card scheme or domestic card scheme.
Yes.
So yeah, what's going on there quickly?
So let me start with the news, which is that the CBN wants to launch a domestic card scheme on Monday, January 16th, 2023. So Murphy is trying to go out on a high, so he's giving you guys new nodes, and he's also giving you a domestic card scheme that would start in January 2023. But you may be asking, if you're not a financial person, what's a domestic card scheme? So if you get your ATM and you look at it, you most likely have this one, my name has been clean, but you most likely have a MasterCard, Visa, or Verve, depending on who you are, who your bank is, or what your bank is, whatever English works. But yeah, it's either MasterCard, Visa, or Verve that you'll be getting if you're in Nigeria. So those are like card schemes that work in Nigeria. Outside Nigeria, you would also have guys like American Express. So they're all card schemes that people use. So, but I don't know what the CBN plans to call their own. I do not want to try to guess, but when they do, it means that you could go to First Bank and they give you they could give you a Shango card, for example, instead of a Visa card. And this is actually a new business for the CBN.
So we are now, is it that the CBN is becoming a regulator player to like the NNPC or NIPOST? So NIPOST regulates logistics companies, but also runs a logistics service. So CBN, they should go and acquire a payments license or a switching license. That's running switching for us.
As well do that. I mean, maybe they can even get agent banking license to drive financial inclusion, because I mean they said one of the reasons is that this would deepen financial
how does
inclusion.
a card scheme deepen, like anything that anyone does launches these days, the next thing is financial inclusion. Don't worry, we were talking about this at the FinTech Summit, but come on.
In the article I wrote, I drew comparisons with India. Okay. So India has a domestic card scheme. It's called RuPay, and they've had it since 2012. So RuPay I think it currently has about 60% of the market share in India. And when they started, a lot of people were not very, very sure. I mean, in the early days, it was MasterCard, Visa that were the major players in that space. But the Indian government decided that we need to get into this business, and they started. So that's also why I think that if the CBN does this, they could actually get to that place or get to that level of dominance very quickly. So one of the things they did was the cost of, so you pay, your banks pay, or your financial institution or anybody that wants to give you a card. So it's not just banks alone. So ShopRite can give cards. So your bank has to pay Visa in order for them to issue you a Visa card. Now when they issue you that Visa card, Visa still makes money from that. So what this means is that if First Bank issues you a Shango card, which is not the name they said, don't go and say it's me that said, but if they issue a Shango card, they will have to pay the CBN. Now, India made it easy. They didn't have to pay always. I think they slashed the price like significantly. So maybe you have to pay 100 naira to give out one card. No, I think that's too cheap. Yeah. Maybe 200 naira for one card, and then CBN comes and says, "Oh, we give it to you for 25 naira. Who will you go for?" Especially if it offers the same value. You go for 25 naira, lower operating costs. Also, you have to pay fees yearly to continue using those services. So the CBN can also slash it significantly.
At this point, too, the value proposition for MasterCard and Visa, which was the ability to buy stuff from foreign websites, with the whole naira issue, that value proposition is getting...
Yes, but to be fair...
when you travel to other countries, you can still use a MasterCard, you can still use a Visa. Yes. Or if I travel to another country, can I use a CBN domestic card?
So you can.
Card?
You can, yes. But it's not like you just suddenly can use it. So the CBN has to do some legwork to ensure that merchants. So even for India with RuPay is not accepted in every country in the world. There are some merchants in some countries that accept it. There are some merchants that do not accept RuPay cards. So it's going to take significant work for the CBN to drive adoption outside Nigeria. It's easy for them to drive adoption outside Nigeria, like I pointed out in the article, which you should go and read. They can always use policies to drive adoption, which to cut down marketing costs. So they don't even, all they need to do is send out circular to these guys and say, how far? We have the way Nifemi brought that soap for us. We have something that we are selling. So they will just tell you that this is what we are doing. Better get in, or anyhow, if you get anything you see, you take.
Manage it like that.
So that's one way they can do it. Another thing they can do is offer very, very good incentives for them to join. Apart from strong-arming them, they can offer them very good incentives. One of the things that the CBN mentioned is that they are looking at it as the digital payment scene in Nigeria has grown significantly over the last decade, and they want to bank on that. So I know we disputed the 200 million figure, but they are also assuming that that is a huge market here and they can get in. But to your question about financial inclusion, how does that drive financial inclusion? They could finally make it possible that you could conduct transactions on a card. So with your card, it doesn't need to be an ATM card, but with your card, you could make payments. I mean, we have the Cowrie card, and with a Cowrie card, you're conducting a financial transaction, but it's not linked to any account. Yeah. So they could do that people can get into the financial system without necessarily having to go through the stress of BVNs. Which you now need BVNs for. So that's one way they can do it, and hopefully this is one way. But another thing that is interesting is that this is a very good way for them to drive the whole cashless, which still ties back to the policy of taking a lot of money in. They could take a lot of money in, or as they're doing this, a lot of people are going to have to find ways to get their money out of the out of banks or out of the financial system back into these financial systems, or your money loses a lot of value. So they're going to do a lot of that. One of the things that they said, which is something...
You want to reveal everything in the podcast, or do you want them to go and read everything?
Okay, let me talk about the last one. Data sovereignty is something that they are concerned about.
Okay.
There's a lot of data that is exchanged.
So, it's interswitch. Oh, interswitch is even...
They are threatening me behind the camera. People, if you see me missing, you know what to hold.
Okay, yeah. So let's
actually have something to say, but
you want to say
time has gone.
Okay, no problem. Our script writers put plenty stories in the podcast script, and now that they want to kill us. If you don't see Chingozirim, because it's the one that delayed.
I did not delay.
All right. So guys, thank you very much for staying with us to the end, and I'm sure you had a lot of interesting insights, and if we didn't give you enough insights, of course you have more questions for us. You have any suggestions on how we can improve how we deliver the podcast to you, please let us know. And all our friends and family and well-wishers and enemies that are watching the podcast, yes, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, anywhere you see this, please watch the end and share with your friends, and hit that subscribe button on YouTubers. Hit that subscribe button, please. Instagram and TikTok, please. We need more followers. We need to grow our presence and get this to as many people as possible. And for the audio, of course, if the video is not your cup of tea, you can always do audio. You can find us on...
Yes, you can find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Hi-Hat Radio, and anywhere else you get your podcast.
All right, let's keep working on this so that it'll be very, very hard. Immediately, you can find us on Google Podcasts. Exactly. All right, guys. See you guys and have a lovely day.
Adios.